Welcome to Six and the Six. Tonight's fabulous guest, the one and only Avery Richardson from Roberts Wesleyan University Field Hockey. Yay! What's up, Avery?
Not much. Just got done with my classes. Actually, I was done a while ago, but
Decompression time.
yeah, like relaxation.
Right. So just done.
hmm
So let's jump in here. You are a proud member of field hockey team number one.
hmm
But not only are you part of team number one, you are actually the number one of team number one. You were the first commit to sign.
hmm
How and I think the quote was from your player profile, or maybe it was on the news article, said that you think it was pretty cool to be the first one to sign and commit and to be a part of cool to be a part of history.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. What was so cool about being part of history, and was kind of coming into Team One and being a part of that? Is that what kind of made your decision to come to Roberts?
I mean, yeah, that was like a big part of it, I feel like. Because I mean, like in high school, I didn't really start anything. Like I didn't, stuff like that. Like coming here, like and being able to like set up like the future of like the program. I thought that was just something really cool to do. Like I get to like help build something up from the bottom instead of building on something that was already built, kind of.
So when you said in high school you didn't start anything, you're referring to the fact that you just came up through the system in an established program, and did you not feel you made a mark there, or what? I mean, what part of like being the part of this new thing was so exciting?
I mean, I'm sure I made my mark on my high school team and stuff, but here it's not just like, oh, I was like, a goalie, I made saves and stuff. Like I get to help like create like the values and like establish like, like what our team can like do in the future, like how like our team is like really like everyone's so nice to each other and friendly and respectful towards one another. And I think it's cool that we get to set that standard for like the future players who are going to be coming in. And like from us setting that standard, like the future of our team, like they know like how our team's going to work. Like we get to make sure like our team is like how like we want it and like stuff like that.
Yeah, well, not just like, yeah, exactly, not just the team, but kind of I mean, this is the basement of the program, the foundation. When you talk about like that aspect of it, the like the culture piece of it, I know we've talked about it in our huddles, in our circles and things, of how does that look to the outside? I mean, to somebody coming in and watching a game up in the stands, and they're watching us perform on the field, which, first year team maybe struggled a little there. What to you are we projecting in terms of culture out to them to make someone be like, yeah, I think I want a piece of that?
I think definitely like we're projecting like a tight knit culture. Like we're very close with one another and like I said, we're all super friendly and nice. But like not just that, like we're able to like talk to each other about like certain like issues or problems if we're having them without worrying about judgment and like you just feel like you can talk to anybody on the team and they they're not gonna be mean or put you down. Like our team is there to support each other. And it's like it sounds like, cringy, but like I truly feel like, they are like my second family. Like I can go to them for anything almost. And I hope like people looking in on us can see that because I feel like it's a big like yes, like skill like, I'm sure people look for skilled teams to like join and, try to get on in college, but I think like our environment, that was like a really big like thing for me. Like when choosing where I wanted to go, like I didn't want to be on like a good team with like teammates that hate each other and fight. Like I'd much rather have what we have now with, like I trust everyone. Like I love everyone on our team. And that was like such a big part, like me
Yeah.
choosing. And I hope everyone else like can choose our team for that reason too.
Yeah, I think we would probably get a similar answer across the board. And I think the interesting thing you said, and I agree with 100%, is being on maybe a good, a great, maybe an awesome team, but everyone's kind of constantly at odds with each other, and there's drama and there's cliques and it just doesn't make the experience as enjoyable, I would think.
Yeah, like I mean, I've been on like teams and stuff, not necessarily field hockey, but like other sports teams where there's just like a lot of drama and like there's just a lot of tension and it's just not as fun. Like I didn't want to go to practices as much. I wouldn't want to play in games as much because I feel like, you make one mistake and everybody like comes to each other's throats, goes after everyone. But like here, like failure is like supported on our team, which I think is like a really great value that we have. Like you shouldn't be afraid to fail because that's what helps you grow. And just being supported to fail and like not having to worry about getting yelled at or punished. Like I think that's really helpful too.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think coach has done a really good job of creating the environment where that support creates a kind of a safe space around the team, but around each individual player as well. So you can kind of explore the edges of your comfort zone and the edges of your skill level. Um, I mean, how does that help you with your confidence in goal, knowing that if you kind of go out on a limb and try something and mess up, you're not going to be looked negatively on.
Yeah. I mean, for starters, it's like such a confidence booster because I know, like, personally in the past, like, I've struggled with, like, not wanting to, like, let my teammates down and, like, feeling the pressure of, like, not wanting them to, yell at me or, like, dislike me because I let a goal in. Like, I know I've struggled with that in the past, but, like, having teammates here that just, like, they will, like, uplift me. They literally, like, lifted me up after a goal one time. But, like, having them there to support me and, like, keeping my mind positive, like, it has been such a big help, and it's really, like, helped my mindset even over just this first season, and I really appreciate that from everyone.
Yeah, and I think we'll get into it a little bit, but I think we'll see how that safe zone culture kind of thing helped you really perform this year as a freshman. Um, Taking it back a little bit, where you came from, Cicero, North Syracuse, CNS, go CNS.
Yeah.
Um, so 2 year starter on the field hockey team there. And I believe last year in your senior year, you helped lead your team to the Class A championship um, for NISPA, New York State. Is it NISPA? Something like that.
Well, yeah, something like that.
um, how how did that how was that experience? How did that experience feel for you being able to be on part of that team, or knowing you probably took a leadership role in taking that team to that championship game?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. Like I'll start out with that because it's something I've never done before, like going that far in like a tournament championship thing. And like I learned a lot, like just from like the teams we faced, like how good they were. Like our team learned a lot from them. And I think it just felt good being able to help my team get there, whether like I was making saves or if I was like encouraging my teammates on the field or even, like helping them with like positioning, like just with anything. Like I just felt proud to like be on that team and be there to like help. Like not necessarily be like, oh, I made saves, like just making an impact on like anything that I could, whether it's like mental or physical too, I guess.
Yeah,
Just
I love that. I think a lot of people who don't play the goalie position think our only job is to save shots.
Hmm.
And our jobs, one, so much more than that within the kind of technical, tactical piece of it. But then when you start adding in that leadership and that support role, I mean, we can be invaluable to those in front of us.
Hmm.
How do you feel? So the championship game, you didn't get the result you wanted. Kind of talking about those leadership traits and things. How were you able to navigate the emotions of getting so far and not quite finishing it? What was that like, and how did you help your team get through that kind of, I don't want to say devastation, but that emotional kind of heartbreak?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was very, very difficult to like get through just be like from the way it ended off of kind of like a penalty shot, like in overtime, which I'm sure you can imagine was quite stressful. And I'll admit, like I blamed myself a little bit, but I knew like I had to be there for everyone else, and I like everyone was feeling the same way that I was feeling. So just like having like words of encouragement for the like my teammates around me, telling them how good they did, like how much they mean to me, just like trying to uplift them as much as I can. Like that I just tried my best to like make everyone feel like they were valuable, and like I understood why they were upset, but you know, there's good things coming our way eventually.
Well, right. And even, I mean, even when you can remove yourself from the emotion of the moment, whether that's 24 hours later, 48 hours later, there's even lessons within that can be pulled out once we can step away and kind of look at that.
Hmm.
So like speaking of those lessons, like let's say that your last 2 years as a starter, that those final years of your high school experience going into that championship, what lessons, what experiences, how do you feel that helped you transition into the college game as a freshman?
Um, I think like it was especially like whenever we'd face other teams, especially like as we got higher up the chain in the tournament, that like there'd be girls on the other team who would be like committed D1 and like all this stuff, and they've had all these accolades and awards, and we'd all like be thinking before the game like, oh man, they have like these girls who are going to this college. Like the team we played in the championship, we all knew they had two girls going to UConn, and we all seemed to like focus on that a lot, but like it made me realize like they're just players just like we are. We're both competing for the same thing, and you know, like they're just players on the other team. We shouldn't look to them as like gods or anything or hold ourselves down just because they're going somewhere we're not. And I think that kind of helped me in the college game because I know I was really nervous, like have like getting like being able to like start and everything. Like I would like think about it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be facing girls that are like 4 years older than me, have had like collegiate experience, and I would make myself nervous because I'm like, oh my God, like they're gonna be so good. But like I think like between like being in the states tournament and like thinking that about the girls going to these D1 schools and being like, ooh, I'm so scared. And I kind of took a step back like in college and I was like, okay, you know what? I am just facing players. Like they love the game of field hockey just like I do, and I can compete with them, you know? Our team can compete with all these people. Like they're just players. And we're players too, here for the same purpose.
Yeah,
So,
I love that mindset, and it makes me think about my mixed feelings about watching film. And it's more centered around the mindset of the people watching the film because I think we need to watch film to scout the opposition and maybe look for traits and tendencies. And as a goalie, maybe traits and tendencies of individual shooters. So we can, not that we always have enough time to figure out the number coming at us and do things, but at least in a general sense. But as long as you're of a proper mindset, like you just said, to not get freaked out by, oh my gosh, number 9 is like such a good finisher. I need to be nervous about that. Because then we get
Mhm.
taken out of our game and worry about the what ifs and who I'm looking at. Um, did you find yourself in situations this year after reviewing film of kind of being like, oh my gosh, they're so good. How are we going to deal with this? Or were you able to keep that mindset of they're just players, they're just so are we?
I know like in the beginning of the season, I definitely like watching film made me really nervous. Like for the team we were about to play, like I'd watch film and I'd be like, oh my God, they have a really good reverse chip. Like, what if it's too fast? And like, or like they'd have a really good drive and I'm like, okay, like I need to watch out for that, but it's a really hard shot. But like I would like really like psych myself out a little bit in the beginning. But like as the season went on, like I turned it more from like a handicap to almost like an advantage. Like I thought of it more as like, okay, I know in general what they're gonna do. Like that gives me the advantage because I know what to prepare myself for. Not so much like, oh my God, I'm really nervous because she has like a good like wrist shot. Like I can be like, oh, she uses a wrist shot, so I'll just be ready for it. Like I definitely like was really nervous in the beginning, but like I like grew, I would say, throughout the season to have like a better mindset about that. And I mean, my mindset is still definitely not perfect and needs to be worked on, but I definitely got better at like taking a step back, taking a breath, and being like, okay, I can use this. Like not like I can use it to help myself, not so much like hurt myself.
Yeah, boy, I love that because I was kind of trying to figure out how to frame my next question around that, and you just answered that perfectly. So it's not a case of you were nervous and kind of anxious, but early on your anxiety was more like, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this? Whereas you learned to kind of manage that anxiety and see it for what it was worth. You were kind of excited to be in that situation and challenge yourself and find out what would come of it.
Hmm.
So I think I have some of these numbers right. I was looking at numbers for you, and some interesting numbers popped out. So in your standout career at CNS, I believe you made 142 saves.
Hmm.
142. Okay, if I have this number right, as a freshman at Roberts, you made 199, 196 saves. So 54 more in your first year of collegiately than in your entire high school career. Um, talk to me a little bit about the physical and mental challenges of that.
Um, I mean, I'll start by saying it was definitely like a jump from like, like in high school, I didn't face like as many shots in games, like felt like, like they weren't in my end as much. Like it was a lot like more chill for me almost in a sense. Like I wasn't having people come at me like every single second. And then, when I came here and like I understand like new program and I am just so proud of like how we did perform this season. But it was definitely like a change. And I think it was for the better too. Like I really have enjoyed like facing like the challenge that I've faced this past season of getting like so many shots and just so much action. And I think it's been like really useful and I've learned like a lot of like powerful lessons from it. And I think it was good, like it was good for everyone on our team too, because we were all able to learn a bunch because, you can't learn if you win all the time. Like you gotta like face hardships to be able to grow even more. And I think facing that as a team, which, we would do together, we'd help each other through it. And I think we all just learned so much. And it was very good for us to experience.
What do you think? So personally, I'm going to ask this for like personally and then team wise. What do you think the number one lesson out of that adversity you took away from that and grew the most from? And then the same thing from a team perspective. What do you think the number one thing about the adversity the team really grew out of?
Um, Personally for me. I think like throughout the season, I learned how to like deal with hardships more like better. Because like I said in high school, I hadn't really dealt with that. So coming here, like having so many shots and goals against, it was definitely really hard at first. And I blamed myself a lot and I would just feel really bad for like letting in goals and stuff. And like throughout the season, like I was able to grow and like I realized like, you know what, as long as I give my best, like that's what matters. And like hard things are gonna come at me in life, and I just gotta be able to face them with confidence, which is what I tried to do throughout like the season.
Love it.
Yeah. And then team wise, I think we definitely learned that we can accomplish anything we want. Because I mean, obviously, like looking at like our record, like we only had one win, but like I just look at like every game as a win for us because we pushed through no matter what, and we gave our best, and we had like major takeaways from each game, and like we just kept getting better and better and better instead of shutting down each game, which we could have easily done. And we learned that like even though we're a new program, like we can still compete like with all the other big teams. Like we can still have grit and we can still give other people like a run for their money. Like we can do like whatever we put our minds to.
I I love that, and I totally agree with it. From a spot on the sideline, seeing the difference in the I'll call it mental toughness of each individual on the team was, I mean, the growth in that area was astonishing to me, kind of what you said. And I think it goes back to, we talked earlier about kind of that safe space and the support and just the, holding each other up and keeping each other accountable for our growth. I think that was really crazy. And wow, there was, a couple of you guys like just popped out of nowhere of suddenly being these like, wow, where'd she come from? All, and that happened like like you said, like every game there was like, whoa, where'd she come from? And so that was, yeah, that was really cool.
Hmm.
And speaking of really cool, so the last number, 16.33, that's the number, and that is your saves per game, which led, I believe, NCAA Division II.
Yeah.
As a freshman in a first year program, Avery Richardson. So
Thank you.
great job. I know you're very humble about individual accomplishments and things, but you talking about controlling that anxiety and having some confidence and being able to focus on the task at hand. I know from working with you, I saw it every day in practice, and I know it's well deserved because you worked really hard at both the mental and physical side. So great
Thank you.
job doing that.
Hmm.
You talked about confidence.
Yeah.
So to you, what does a confident goalie look like? What do they sound like? And what do they do? I mean, what do you do both on and off the field that kind of, how do you carry that around, that confidence around with you as a goalie?
Um, I'd say like the first step is probably just like holding your head high, like wherever you go. Like I know for me, like when I'm walking on the field or off the field, like I keep my shoulders up, I keep my head up, and just present myself as being confident and like I want to be there. And I want other people to know that. And then also like on the field, like, you know, I mean, I try to be as loud as I can. Hopefully people can hear me, but whether it's like, screaming encouragements at my teammates or helping them with like positioning or giving them options, telling them to mark people, like just being loud and proud too, like having my voice be heard on the field. That's like a big confidence thing too. Um, oh, there's one other thing I was gonna say. Well, it's left my mind. Oh my gosh.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
How's that? How do those lessons of confidence, and oh well, before I do that, first of all, when you come out with your shoulders out and you're doing your, I'll call it your power pose,
Oh yeah.
are you like channeling anybody, like a goalie you look up to, some kind of role model, or are you just like, man, I'm Avery and I'm here?
I mean, I I would call them my role models, but I try to like channel like my teammates, especially Abby Henderson. I'll say her full name, I guess. Especially her because she's always so positive and like confident, like as like alongside all the rest of my other teammates, like they're all there for a reason, and like because of them, like I want to be confident for them, and like I want to like I use like all their positive words and like words of encouragement, and even like criticism too, like constructive criticism. I keep that in my mind, and I use all that to like hold my head high, if that makes sense.
No, it
Like I
does
try
totally.
to channel them like in their attitudes through me too, because if they're feeling confident, then I'm gonna feel confident. And I hope like if I'm feeling confident that I can help them feel confident too. So it's kind of like a two-way thing. But I mean, I know definitely like they help me with like boost my confidence a lot. Like a lot more than I expected.
Well, Abby's a force of nature by herself, and then you add in the
Oh yeah.
rest of your teammates.
Oh yeah.
How do you, so kind of those lessons in confidence and that confidence you carry on the field, how does that like spill over into your non-field life, like your classrooms or your, off-campus stuff? How has that helped you in that regard?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely not the most like outgoing person off the field. Like, I mean, I definitely won't go out and like talk to random people and try to make friends with everybody. But I think like through field hockey, like whenever I step into the goal, I kind of feel like unstoppable, you know? And then like I've been trying to like bring that outside where like when I walk to my classes, like I walk on the field, like I keep my head high, my shoulders up, like I make it look like I want to be in school and I want to do my best. And like I just want to be confident when talking to people, and I want to be again like on the field, like I want to be loud and proud in my classes. Like if I have something I want to say, like I'll say it in class.
Love
And yeah, okay, yeah. I was gonna say something else, but it left my mind again.
it. I, it's funny. You may be surprised, but I'm a huge introvert myself, so I understand that, and I actually think we're probably born introverts. I think you maybe have to train extrovertedness, if that's a
Yeah,
word.
I agree.
Although I know some people that possibly were born extroverts. They're just like totally
Mm.
like blah, but not many.
I I could name someone.
Well, we better not. So we kind of started getting in the mindset a little bit. I saw something interesting. I was researching you because that's what I do. I research my guests so I can surprise them.
Oh,
And
cute.
it was I I don't know. I think it was before the Brockport game, and they had a little scouting report on their web article. So it's not like top secret or anything. And this was back in September, so roughly halfway through our season. They said Roberts has been led by freshman goalie Avery Richardson, who has accumulated an impressive 116 saves in 6 starts and over 300 minutes of game action. Um, that little snippet, the thing that jumped out to me is said led by. And I think they were probably strictly looking at your numbers based on the rest of it, but
Hmm.
you were so much more than just a numbers leader on the field. Um, Talk a little bit about some of the leadership traits you think you developed throughout the course of the season.
Hmm. I think one thing I really like to do, and like what I feel like made me a leader on the team, or one of the leaders. I'll say that because we are all our own leaders in our own way. I just want to put that out there. But I think one of the ways that I showed my leadership is just like helping people when I can, because I know like I've had a lot of experience in the game since I've been playing since seventh grade. And I know some people have had less experience or they're like in a new position or like, just it's like a new thing. And I've always tried and I still do try to do my best to like help them out, like, telling them like, oh, try this or like position wise, like, oh, maybe try standing here. Or just kind of like helping them along the way, like getting used to like where they are, like, things that they should do. And like I know through that, like it helps other people feel more confident, you know, when they feel like when I don't even know how to put it into words. Like I like helping other people feel more confident in their positions and like in knowing what they like want to and need to do. And I just like being there to like give my experience and like help like in whatever way I can.
But I actually really like that as well because I think that ties back to our very first um, question and discussion about kind of why you came here. And it was to kind of grow and have that safe space and that environment. And when we're confident, we feel like we want to explore the edges of our comfort zone a little bit. And the environment we talked about earlier, where it would be okay to step out of there and maybe fall over a couple times. But I didn't have to go running back into my safety zone. So I I love the way you talked about trying to project that confidence, give that confidence into your teammates. I think that's a huge leadership trait. Um, so kind of on the same note, there was a recent reply to, I think it was your saves per game Instagram post. And the reply said that you were a mental and physical weapon. I found that really interesting, a mental and physical weapon. How do you feel to stay on that theme? How do you feel you were able to weaponize the physical and mental challenges you faced um, for good and be successful from them?
Mm. Um, Definitely took me a while to figure out, just like everything else. I know mentally, like I did grow a lot throughout the season, and I think having mindset meetings, especially with you, that helped me a lot, like learning how to channel like how I'm feeling and like maybe use it as like motivation, like taking like anger I might feel and being like using that as my motivation to push myself even farther and just like physically, it definitely is hard sometimes. Like I know there were a few times I was just so tired and like getting up, I was like, "Ooh, oh man!" Or when it's really hot and I'm like sweating and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I can't even cool down. And just using that and reminding myself that like the soreness I'll feel the next day will be worth it as long as I give my all in the game at that moment.
Yeah, I like
Like,
that one too. Under all the little amounts of equipment you have to wear as a field hockey goalie.
yeah, a little bit.
Just a, I remember I suited up for ice hockey goalie once in my adult hockey career, and I could not believe how tiring it was.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and you had more saves in one year, more shots in one year than you had in your entire high school career. So that's like crazy amount of work back there.
I know, I didn't even realize till you just said that.
A great mental and physical reps. Just imagine till next year when you're like beast mode out there.
I'll, we'll be ready for next season.
It's going to be awesome. So
Hmm.
speaking of ice hockey, your hockey career actually began on the ice, not the turf.
Hmm.
And I think in a different position. You weren't a goalie, if I recall correctly. Um,
Yeah.
how how was that transition from ice to turf? I mean, what were some of the challenges?
Um, it was definitely hard just from the switching positions in general, because I was going from like an offensive player to just like goalie, which is like the complete opposite. And so like that was definitely like a mindset switch up that I had to make because I was just like, oh, I'll be aggressive and stuff, but it was a lot easier to like not be hard on myself as like an offensive person compared to like as a goalie position. Like it got a lot harder like to control like how I was thinking and how I was feeling. And I mean, I've gotten so much better at it, but that was definitely like a hard transition. And like, I mean, obviously going from ice to turf is a pretty big step, but I was thankful that they're both like stick sports, so I kind of had an idea of what I was doing, and I was just happy to be playing two sports that involve the word hockey, if I'm being honest, in seventh grade. That just made me happy. I was like, yeah, ice hockey and field hockey. I got it down.
You got all the hockeys covered.
I know. That's like the one reason I started playing field hockey because I was like, wow, I play ice hockey. I should just give field hockey a try.
But as a lefty ice hockey shooter, what's up with the only right-handed field hockey sticks?
Um, it's definitely weird. I don't know why they don't make left-handed sticks, if I'm being honest. But I guess, it's just an adjustment. And I get like in field hockey, obviously, I just hold it with my one hand. So it's a lot easier than having to learn like the wrist and like the flip wrist thing that they got to do. Yeah,
Yeah, you saw
yeah,
my wonky shots trying to figure that out.
yeah. I give all the field players props for learning how to do that. Like that is so impressive to me because I just yeah, they impress me with that. I would never. Oh,
Yeah, that's
never
crazy.
let them
I
down.
still don't know how their backs don't hurt more, but
I know.
right.
I know.
So, what do
Especially
you think now, having played turf hockey for a while? What do you think the biggest challenge besides skating would be going back the other way to somebody who, let's say, younger you went from field hockey to ice hockey? Take the skating out of the equation. What do you think the hardest part would have been?
hmm, that's a good question. Um, I think like probably the physicality of ice hockey
Hmm.
because like as we know in field hockey, you can't really like touch each other. Like there's not really pushing or shoving. But in ice hockey, like I mean, I played boys ice hockey for a while, like with checking, so like I dealt with that for a while, and then I went to girls hockey after that. There's still quite a bit of pushing and shoving, and I think it would have taken a lot of getting like to get used to that compared to field hockey. So I think just like the physical part, even though field hockey can be physical, it's just harder to be physical. Depends on the ref.
He, I personally am all here for more physicality in field hockey.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
well,
Those are the most exciting games.
I'm not surprised based on you came from the ice. Um, do you think being a finisher, being a forward in ice hockey and understanding how to score, how to put the puck past a goalie, do you think that helped you kind of understand as a goalie what shooters were looking for, even though it's a different sport?
Yeah, I think in a sense I could. Like it helped me because like as like an offensive player in ice hockey, like I had the mindset where I'd be looking for like the gaps in the net and when I'd get ready to shoot, like you could see like I'm sure like the ice hockey goalie could see when I was getting ready to shoot, like I would do the wind up, I'd get low, and I'd be ready to like smack the puck. So like in field hockey, like I can kind of see when people are like getting ready to shoot. Like I see them getting ready in that position and I'm like, okay, I see they're gonna shoot. And like I also realize like they're looking for that little open gap to put like the ball right through. So I just have to understand like I need to like be ready to cover those gaps. And like I do kind of understand where they do fall just because like in ice hockey, like it'd be like the top two corners or and like in field hockey, like it's like the opposite corners of like where you are. So just kind of like understanding like what a shooter might be thinking, like it definitely has like helped me transition to like knowing what shooters are going to try and do against me.
A little bigger net and a little tougher to cover those upper corners in field hockey.
Yeah, just a
Uh,
little bit.
Last hockey question. So you chose the double nines for your number at Roberts, and is that any kind of tribute to the great one Wayne Gretzky who wore 99 on the ice?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my field hockey number, like they kind of just gave me the number 99 and I've stuck with it. But like I have like one I did make the connection once where I was like, oh, it's Wayne Gretzky. Like maybe I'll be like him, maybe I'll be great one day, and everyone will like know like who I am kind of. I don't know. But like at the same time, like I did want to be like my own person and like my own player. But yeah.
Well, I think you probably already lived up to that. If we rewind, let's see, 99, the great one, Avery. Um, Freshman, led NCAA Division II in saves per game. So there you go. Left your mark on the program in year one, not to mention all the wonderful leadership stuff you've done and stuff like that. So I think mission accomplished in year one. Now we have to up the game.
Yes.
Yeah,
Gotta keep on growing.
how you gonna trump yourself on that one? You gotta yeah, we'll have to see. Stay tuned.
Yeah, yeah.
Um so back to talking about that because I'm still in wonder when I say that. Um and maybe the question answers itself based on that statistic we talked about. Why do you think it's so difficult for goalies um to become mentally tough warriors? Or as that response on Instagram said, a mental weapon. Why is it so difficult to become that?
Um, I feel like a lot of it has to do with like the pressure that like goalies feel because I mean, we are like the last line of defense. So like I know like for me personally, like if I let a goal in, I'm like, okay, like that was on me. Like, I would blame myself a lot and like I would let the pressure get to me at times. And I know like for other goalies too, it's hard to like let goals in, like especially like important ones, like if it's in overtime or like in a championship game, it's like, oh, I just let that in. Like I should have had that. And I know like like a lot of goalies feel like responsible for like the goals they let in, even though it might not necessarily be like completely their fault. And yeah, and I just sometimes it's hard because it's like if you have a bad day as a goalie, it just means goals are getting past you. Or like maybe as like a field player, if you have a bad day, maybe like, the ball is just getting under your stick a lot. It's just like a little difference there. But I mean, I think every position feels a lot of pressure in like different ways, if that makes sense. But I just know as a goalie, like it's just been especially hard because sometimes I do like feel like I lost the game for my team, even though like I might have like not like it wasn't really totally my fault. I just hold myself up and like to a certain standard just
Yeah,
because like I want to be there for my team and I want to win for my team.
I think it's interesting because as a field player, you can go play that whole game and take 10 shots and maybe one goes in, maybe two goes in, right? And then people are like, woo, goal, goal. But on the flip side, if you have 10 shots against you and two go in, people are like, oh, two goals went in. So I
Mhm.
I, I think I think there's a little bit of a more critical lens on the goalie's performance, just because, like you said, the last line of defense, and it doesn't really matter what happened up to that point. Most goalies, if not all, I know, really take ownership on. Well, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that went on up there, but it's my one of my jobs to save it, and I
Mhm.
did. I think goalies tend to, maybe I'm answering the question this way. I think goalies tend to walk a very fine line between perfectionism and like just trying to be the best they can. And I think your inner talk battles between those two a lot, right? Like, oh, I should have saved them all. Oh no, it makes sense that I didn't. Do you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, I do tell myself, I'm like, okay, I did the best I can do. Like, I should be happy with myself. But then I'm like, I think back to like a goal that was scored, and I'm like, I could have had that. Like, if I had just taken one more step, or if I had just done this, like, like there's times where I do tell myself, I'm like, okay, I gave my all. I'm happy with what I did. But then I do also think back and I'm like, I should have had that, and then it wouldn't have been a goal, and then it might have like changed the whole like game, you know? It's just yeah, it's definitely hard. Like I do agree that like I want to like try and be as perfect as I can. And then I do relate that like being perfect to like being the best that I can. Like if I'm perfect, then I feel like I'm doing my best. But sometimes if I'm not perfect, I don't feel like I'm doing my best, even if I am.
Well, and it's funny because then we well, most of us, I think, then battle that um knowledge that there are no perfect people, and I'm not going to be the first one. So we kind of know that, and yet our standards are so high for ourselves that it's sometimes tough to see in the moment. We talked about it earlier in kind of that emotional moment, right?
Hmm.
Um, oh, you made me now see now I lost something because that made me think of something. Um, Wow, that's gone. It was really good too. To find the best part of this, and now it's going to be
It,
missing.
it'll roll back around eventually.
It'll come back after you're gone. I'll be like, oh shoot, I remembered that now. Hold on,
Hmm.
what was it? Oh, maybe it'll come back. Um,
We were talking about perfection,
uh,
doing our
Affection,
best.
yeah. Oh, I know what it was now. Good job. You've jarred it loose. You were talking about the
Yeah.
should haves and could haves and stuff like that. Um, how do you process those should haves and could haves kind of purposefully, and fold those back into maybe what you want to work on during the next practice? Like, is your focus for the next practice changed based on those should have could haves in a game prior, or you just kind of have that goldfish memory and say, ah, it's gone?
I definitely do like hold on to those thoughts. And while they are more like negative, like right after the game, I'm like, oh, I should have had that. Like I could have gotten there. I could have done better. Like as I like move into like transition into like the next day and I'm thinking about practice, I think back and I'm like, okay, that goal was because I went down like entirely too early, like and I just couldn't get up in time and they just blew right past me. Then I think about it, I'm like if that happens in practice today, like I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna try to like stay on my feet and like run to that ball instead of diving. Like I use it to my like I try to use it to my advantage in practice. I think about like a different scenario I could have done in that moment to see like in practice, like maybe it'll work if I try something different. And then if it works in practice, I can translate that into my game and like hopefully prevent a goal like that happening again.
And then that's just an endless cycle because then the next game you'll have another should have, could have. But I think that mindset you just talked about is one of the reasons you found some good success this year because you're taking those, I don't want to call them failures, those struggles and challenges, and you're turning them into opportunities to work on the different scenarios, like you said, and just kind of strengthen up those pieces of your game. I think everyone, not just on the field, but just in life in general, needs to be more purposeful about analyzing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I feel like if you don't take advantage and like use them for the better, they kind of just like weigh you down instead of like pulling you forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, two more. I've got two more questions.
Okay.
Um, So, team one, what would you tell somebody who was trying to decide whether to join a team one or an established team?
Um, I mean, I would tell them to join Team One because I think it's probably been like one of the best experiences like of my life between like again like being able to like build something right before my eyes and like like literally like I said before like tr being able to make history. Like I think that is like the coolest thing ever. And you really get to like make something your own, like in D2, like make it yours, but like you really get to like almost like customize it to like what your team wants. And I feel like since we were like a smaller team, since like our first year, we were so like tight knit and everything. Like I've probably made like relationships, like friendships that'll last like forever. Like I'll always look back and I'll be like, wow, like that was such a great experience between like what I learned, like the friendships I made, and just like overall being able to like do something I love while also like making like a huge impact that like will like people will see like for like generations or however long like this team will go on, like Team 50.
Team 50. Wow. You'll be like, you'll have to show up in your like rocker to watch those games as an alumni.
Yeah, I'll be playing. I'll be playing
You'll
on
be playing. I love it. I love
a
it.
walk.
I think the thing I love most about that response you just gave is that nowhere in any of that you didn't talk about record like oh it's going to be tough and you're going to have to fight through that kind of adversity. You like that's not even what came to your mind. And they say a lot of times the best thing that comes out of the athletic experience quite often are the lifelong friendships that are made. But you really talked to um the meaning and the giving value and the creating something and having those relationships. And it kind of like touching your why and kind of your purpose. And I think carrying even those lessons from that response you just gave forward into everything you do is just so huge. And try to stay focused on that side of things instead of, oh my gosh, you won't win a game and blah blah blah. Long after you forget your records, you'll have the friendships.
Hmm. Yeah. Plus, like, it's just fun being able to play in games, like records. Like, I mean, sure, everyone likes to win and stuff, but like I said, like I've had so much fun, like regardless of winning, though. Like, like it has been like the most fun I've had in a while, I swear, you know?
Well,
Like
and the
I've
wins will
really
come.
enjoyed, yeah. And I've just, but like as of right now, I've really enjoyed like having like these people here with me through this experience.
When you're having fun and you're working hard and you're supportive together, that foundation's got to be built. But once that strong foundation's there, suddenly all that hard work and struggle will come to fruition and pay off. So that'll be fun as an alumni if it takes that long for you to look back and know that you were part of that.
Yeah. Mhm. I know it'll all come together at some point. Whether I'm here or not, I'll still enjoy being able to like see the success that people have here.
Oh yeah, because we didn't even get to like the influence this team's having in the community of, people looking up and saying, "Wow, it's closer," and they can look up to you guys. I mean, that's
Mhm.
that's a huge part of it. For next time you're on, we can talk about that. Um,
Yeah.
Last question, because I know you're a busy student athlete.
Mhm.
Um, what advice would you give to young Avery right in that moment as you were deciding to switch hockey onto the turf from the ice?
Oh, that is a good question. I guess my advice would be like, don't let anyone talk down about a sport you love. Like, because I know, like, coming from ice hockey and, some of the guys I played with, they were like, oh, ice hockey's definitely better though, right? Like, ice hockey's way better than field hockey. Like, field hockey's like trash. You can't even do anything. And, like, I had so, I had so many people telling me that and trying to get me to tell them that ice hockey was better than field hockey. But, like, my only response would be like, oh, but they're both good in their own way. And, I mean, I would get discouraged a little bit. I'd be like, oh, is like field hockey like not that cool? Like, should I be pursuing it? And I think just being like telling younger me that I should be able to do what I love without worrying about the opinions of others, I think that would have helped me a lot, like with my confidence back then.
Yeah, I think for sure. And we are all glad that you kept with it and didn't listen to all those snobbish ice hockey people.
All those haters. Well,
They just added fuel to your fire, and now look at it. So, um,
I'm really happy with where I am. So they what they said doesn't matter.
right. Um, Avery, thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate you coming on and letting me learn a little more about your journey. Always fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh yeah, and I will see you out on the field.
Yes, bye.
See ya.